Right now, they're sitting with a 4-seed advantage over the Falcons of Seattle Pacific. Seattle Pacific sitting one length over Lewis and Clark and UC Santa Barbara. Those two crews, Lewis and Clark and Santa Barbara, side by side. Just a little bit off the back, it is going to be Pacific Lutheran. They're down by about a length and a half of open water, but at 500 meters in, the Lumberjacks continuing to hold on to that lead, now 5 seats over Seattle Pacific. All right, so interesting to note, I've got my stroke coach out. The Lumberjacks, Humboldt, rowing at 37 and a half strokes a minute. Seattle Pacific at 33 and a half. So quite a bit of a difference in stroke ratings, but could be a little bit different of a strategy. My favorite race plan, personally, coaches listen up, get ahead, and stay ahead. That's always that's always the race plan that we want to maintain. So we'll see if Humboldt can hold on to that with that very aggressive stroke rating. Do they have the fitness? Do they have the technique and the mental strength to hold on to that as we progress down the race course? With 750 meters gone, they certainly are showing that as they have extended their lead out to now 6 seats over Seattle Pacific. Seattle Pacific, also a very strong Division II program. Both of these crews looking towards the GNAC championships in a couple of weeks, where they will await a bid to the national championships at the end of May. Just behind them, we've got Lewis and Clark and UC Santa Barbara. Lewis and Clark, a very strong Division III program. We've spoke about it earlier in the day, but they have just come off a win in the Northwest Conference. It's a very historic win for that program, so they're coming into this championship with quite a bit of confidence and really some good top-end boat speed. So Lewis and Clark doing a nice job holding off the Gauchos of UC Santa Barbara. UC Santa Barbara looking at a really strong spring season and looking at a great race performance coming down the pike at the Akron National Championships later on in May in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Now back by a bit of open water, it continues to be Pacific Lutheran. PLU, the Lutes, they are a Division III program, often making appearances at the national championship. So again, hoping to finish off this WIRA championship with a good showing. But back to the leaders, it is Humboldt State right now. Humboldt with a 1-length lead over Seattle Pacific. Stroke rating looks to be working for them. They're very aggressive. They look like a strong, tall crew, and they're using that to their advantage as they move into this little more of a protected area on Lake Natoma. They just came through that little bit of a wind patch, rowing cleanly and staying ahead of Seattle Pacific. Seattle Pacific with now open water over Lewis and Clark, UC Santa Barbara, and then finally Pacific Lutheran. This is the grand final for the women's collegiate second varsity 8.
And very roughly 600 to go. It's looking like our leader, Humboldt, is still in the lead with decks overlapping. Second place position, Seattle Pacific. And you will start to see them. If you look down the beach, you can see those yellow blades flashing in the sun again. We're getting a few ripples on the water now. So as they've crossed that 500 meters to go, it's looking like decks are overlapping Humboldt and Seattle Pacific. So Humboldt has not been able to shake Seattle Pacific loose quite yet. Seattle is not giving up on this race. And Humboldt, again, really showing up this weekend. Really phenomenal performances from Humboldt showing up. It looks like they have taken the 1V and now are holding the position for their 2V, again, which makes that 1V fast. It's really exciting to see these 2Vs racing because these are the boats that are so hungry to prove themselves. And along the shore here, again, you can see Humboldt in that first place position along the shore here. Seattle Pacific's bow barely hanging on. It looks like Humboldt is going to break loose here. They have taken the rate up just a little bit as they start to plunge into that red zone. And they are going to try to shut down the rest of the field here. You can see it now. That coxswain is getting pretty animated. They have brought it up, and here they go. Seattle Pacific not far behind. Lewis and Clark also just a little bit of open water, just a little bit, again, off the off the stern of Seattle Pacific. So Lewis and Clark hanging on to Seattle Pacific, followed by Santa Barbara and Pacific Lutheran. But it is Humboldt along the shore with those yellow blades and green unisuits, crossing the line in first once again. And look at that coxswain go. She is ready for the win. Humboldt it is, followed by Seattle Pacific and Lewis and Clark in that third place position, followed by Santa Barbara. Those flashy yellow blades and black shell there, followed by Pacific Lutheran in the fifth place position, finishing up their sprint here. What a performance by Humboldt again. Really well done this weekend. Got a strong finish here by Pacific Lutheran. Last few strokes as they cross the line here. And they will round out our grand final for the women's second B8's Division II.